Welcome. Today, I am talking about 5 tips when it comes to self care, specifically on your spiritual journey. And this is the final episode of my self care series that I've been doing in honor of Spring Equinox 2022. So if you have not checked out the other videos, be sure to do so after you finish watching this one. There's no particular order for the series, and the playlist is also linked in the description of this video, so you can watch those really at any time. Um, so let's dive in to these tips. Why did I want to even do a video about self-care for spiritual journey? Well, because when I think back to when I started my own spiritual journey, when I think back to that, I these the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you are things that I wish I would have known sooner. And my spiritual journey is a significant part of my life and kind of why I even have a channel right now and what it's led me to. So that's why I wanted to share it, because I feel like there's already so many things about self care in other aspects of your life. And when it comes to your spiritual journey, it really doesn't matter what your belief system is. If you are at a point where you are unsure of what you believe in, um, if you are affiliated with a specific religion, or if you don't identify with any religion or any form of spirituality or spiritual practice, right? Um, so I just want to put that out there. It doesn't matter where you're at on that journey. If even if you have transitioned out of religion and you are taking a different path and you're trying to figure out like where you're at, what's going on, like what that next phase for you is, and you just want to look at spirituality from a different point of view, then either way, this video is for you, because it's applicable no matter what phase you're in. So let's dive in. So tip number one is, as far as a tip for your spiritual journey and self-care, is to document your experiences and your thoughts. And so by that, I mean, you can either journal, you can use um, a voice recorder, or you can use video. And this doesn't mean that this has to be public. It's a way for you to document your experiences and your thoughts so you can have something to refer back to, because there's going to be things that you had dreams about, or there's going to be things, if you were meditating or you just had an experience or something, there was some synchronicity that happened and you want to be able to refer to it later, because on your spiritual journey there are going to be things that you feel like you can't you can't explain, and you're not going to understand it, and later on down the line you will get some clarity on it, and it will be so helpful. It'll be so helpful to be able to refer back to what you were experiencing in the moment when you documented that. So being able to refer back to a journal or to an audio file, like, so I recently bought a voice recorder. There's also voice recorders on your phone, or you can have, video files, whether it's it, and like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be some public video. You can have unlisted or private videos, on a YouTube channel, or just on your phone or somewhere else, something that is for you. But being able to document it, I'm telling you, will be a game changer. And I wish I would have done that sooner. Because there's, even now, like some of the journals that I have now, I have been able to refer back to them. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I remember this. Now, this is why this happened, or this is why I didn't understand this. I'm telling you, there's so many books and things out there, but one of the best resources you have is yourself. So I'm telling you, um, document your experiences and your thoughts, dreams, whatever has happened during the day, whatever you feel led to document. Um, Yeah, whether you want to do that daily, or if you have just a specific experience that comes to mind and you want to document it, whatever feels right for you, then do that. Um, so yeah, don't feel like you have to have some daily routine. You don't have to do that. You can. It's very helpful to get into the practice of it, but start where you are. If you're writing, once every month, every other month, whatever feels right for you, um, or anytime you remember a dream, just whatever feels right for you. Because I feel like a lot of people get caught up in, well, how often should I do it? Do what feels right for you. Do what allows you to feel consistent. And either way, the important message is to document. So let's go to tip 2. Tip number 2 for self-care for your spiritual journey is to be in the practice of solitude, to make that a part of a regular practice. So tip number 2 is to practice solitude regularly. Why? Why should you do that? Practicing solitude is something that is going to be significant when it comes to listening to yourself, listening to your guides, listening to your intuition, listening to your ancestors, really being able to tune in to your body, to your spirit, and into your mind. One of the things with when it comes to solitude, I feel like on your spiritual journey, it can feel like scary sometimes. You might want to try to avoid being alone, and not having to deal with all the things, but it really is important. And solitude is not about loneliness or isolation, which those are very different. Um, Sometimes on your spiritual journey, you can feel lonely, but solitude is a requirement. And again, it doesn't matter what you believe in, what your practices are, if you're wherever you're at in your journey, solitude is a requirement. You have to be able to listen and to be in quietude, because that is where you will get the most profound messages. That is where in solitude, that is when you really have to address your own fears. And let me tell you, your spiritual journey, that's a huge part of it, is acknowledging and addressing your fears, the things that you don't even realize that you fear, the things that you know that you fear that you've been avoiding. You're going to have to deal with your own shit. Solitude is a requirement. And if you get into the practice of it and making it a regular practice, you will be a lot better off in the long run. So, what does a practice of solitude look like? This is something, just like I mentioned with the journal, you can do this daily, you can do this weekly, a couple times a month, whatever works for you. You have to start where you are. And if you tune into any of my previous videos about self-care, like, it has to work with your schedule and with what you have going on in your life. So regular practice doesn't always equate to daily practice. Regular practice is about consistent practice. Like, it's something that you're doing and you have a specific routine around that. If it's daily, weekly, a couple times a week, a couple times a month, whatever works for you. You can always add more days later or adjust the days as you need to. And you'll understand why if you go back to my previous videos in the self-care series, which is, again, the link to the self-care series is in the description of this video. And I talk about seasonality. But when it comes to your spiritual journey, you have to practice it. And either way, and if you keep avoiding it, you're going to be forced into it anyway. One way or another, and it's going to be the hard way, and you're not going to like it. So be in the practice of it will allow you to start to pay attention to you and to your spirit team, your spirit guides, your intuition. Again, whatever it is you're into, your ancestors, all the things. Insert whatever you believe in, put that there, okay? Let's go to step number 3. I keep saying steps. Tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to practice spiritual hygiene. Spiritual hygiene, spiritual hygiene, spiritual hygiene. What is that? Spiritual hygiene is really about clearing your sacred space. This also includes, so if you have a designated sacred space, then you need to practice spiritual hygiene. If there are certain tools that you use in your spiritual practice, you need to practice spiritual hygiene. If you don't have any of that shit, okay, you know what else is what is a sacred space? Your body is a sacred space. You need to practice spiritual hygiene. This is about balancing the energy and removing any unnecessary, unneeded, or built up residue of stagnant energy. So, like I mentioned, if you have a designated sacred space or different tools that you use, whether it's crystals, whether it's tarot cards, whether it's a Bible, whether it's whatever you're into, right? If you have a meditation space, or just a place where you even like to, like I mentioned in the second tip, where you to be in solitude, and there's a place where you want to do that, and there's a place that you always kind of tend to go to kind of balance out your energy, to clear your mind. That can also be considered a sacred space. You want to clear the energy. What does that look like? That can vary. Whether it's like, so I mentioned, your body is a sacred space. You should practice spiritual hygiene when it comes to your body. If it's spiritual baths, if it's clearing your own energy through meditation, through meditative practices. If it's certain tools that you use, what are you doing to clear the energy of those tools, or those instruments? What are those things? Do you want to do, sunbathing, moon bathing? Do you want to use sage, Palo Santo? What are you doing to recharge and clear the energy in your crystals, even your jewelry? If there's certain jewelry that you have that needs to be where you need to clear the energy of those tools, right? Same thing for your actual space, physically cleaning the space, right? So it's not just using, sage or Reiki, which you could use Reiki if you want to, but actually cleaning the space with soap and water. If you want to use some type of, if you're into like using a Florida water, or if you want to use like holy water, again, insert whatever whatever you believe in, and whatever you're into, whatever that thing is that can help you clear space. You can add that into your water, into your cleaning solution, and clean and use that when you're actually cleaning your space. If you have a designated sacred space, which I consider, my home to be one of those places. I have certain areas that I like to do certain things, and I will put certain energy or certain things when it comes to cleaning those spaces compared to other areas of my home. But yes, practicing spiritual hygiene, clearing the energy of your physical space, and also your body, because your body is also a sacred space. In my opinion, it might be different for you. Physical space, any tools or instruments that you use, however you want to go about doing that, let me know. And if you're curious about spiritual hygiene and you want to know more about like my routine specifically on that, then let me know in the comments, and that might be a future video. So I've already shared 3 tips. Let's go into tip number 4 when it comes to self-care and self-care for your spiritual journey. Tip number 4 is seeking, when it comes to seeking a community or like-minded individuals that are separate from your friends and your current friends and family. I'll say that one more time. Seeking community or individuals, seeking like-minded community or individuals that are not associated with your friends and family. And let me tell you why this is important. And again, it doesn't matter where you're at on your spiritual journey, but this is especially important for those if you are in transition, if you are feeling like, like if you're transitioning out of religion into, maybe you're transitioning out of religion into just a spiritual practice, or you're trying to find your way one way or another. Maybe you're transitioning into religion. Maybe you're just trying to go deeper into your spiritual practice. You're trying to learn more about yourself, and you're not sure if you should follow a specific path or a specific like framework when it comes to a spiritual practice or a religious affiliation. If you're in that in-between stage, especially, right? Seeking people and community outside of your friends and family, this is important because when you are trying to figure out like what's going on with you, or even if you have an idea and you're wanting to understand it more, your friends and family, it's especially if you're confused or you're unsure about certain things, oftentimes, especially if they don't understand your experiences, or even if you feel like they don't agree or won't agree, or won't like approve of what you're even looking into and what you're wanting to do, it's going to be a lot harder for you to explore that aspect of yourself, because you're constantly being pulled back into the version of yourself that you're trying to transition out of, the mindset and the constructs and the beliefs that possibly you were raised or conditioned to believe a certain thing, and you're questioning those things. Like, it's going to be a lot harder to understand what is your truth and what you truly believe, what you align with, if you don't have, if you're always going back to the group of people that you love, but are also the ones that have kept you in that conditioning. And this doesn't mean that what your friends or family believe is wrong. You're just in a different phase in your life, and you're wanting to explore something else, and you're wanting to understand something else. You want to make sure that the direction that you're going is not because you're being influenced by someone that is in the thing that you're questioning, right? Because they're always going to try to sway you. Let me not say always. You might have some that will try to sway you into their own beliefs, and really it's about you finding what is going to work for you, you finding what aligns with your truth. So if your friends and family aren't on that same page, and oftentimes they're not, then this is where seeking a community or individuals that are like-minded or even neutral, and are supportive of you exploring your spiritual journey in a way that feels authentic to you, or that are supportive of your journey, and you just trying to figure out your own way, and not feeling like they're judging you because you're taking a different path. That's the most important thing. And it's all about vibration. It's all about being able to explore this new version of yourself, or this new aspect of yourself, I should say, without feeling the judgment, without feeling like you have to You have to know everything, because sometimes you feel like if you are experiencing something, you're taking this step in your spiritual journey, and you're still unsure about certain things. You don't know all the answers, and you're never going to know all the answers. But if your friends and family might constantly question why you're doing certain things or what it means to you, and it's like you might not know yet, and it's okay to be in the not knowing. That's going to be a that's going to be a major part of your journey anyway, being in the unknown. Okay. Which is why you need step two in the first place. So which I talked about solitude, why that's so important. But being in community with like-minded individuals is going to be important for you to be able to express yourself more comfortably, and to not feel like you're crazy. You don't want to feel like you're crazy. So I promise you, there are other people out there that have similar experiences, or can understand some of the experiences that you are going through, or even having some of the questions that you have. So that's something I would highly encourage. How do you find those people, you ask? I hear you saying, Ujo, how do I find these people? How do I find, these individuals in these communities? Well, you can look through virtual spaces, and also look in spaces that are in your local community, um, depending on what you're into, right? And so I mentioned in the beginning of this video, where are you being led to? What are you being led to? What are you into? What are your interests? Um, where's your spirit guiding you when it comes to your spiritual journey? What things are you curious about? So start with those curiosities and those interests. Are you feeling called to something specific or in particular? Are you feeling like, oh man, I feel like I keep coming across this thing, like, all the time. Every time I'm thinking about it, this book keeps showing up, or this topic keeps coming up, or every time I see this, like, those are called synchronicities. So follow that and see where it leads you. One of the things I would do was go to like events, and this was, before all this, pandemic stuff happened, but things are opening back up. So you can go to local events. You can go to virtual events. You can go to retreats, books, right? You can start looking into books, and there's book clubs, there's meetups. But it's very easy to get in like virtual spaces if you are still weirded out by like in-person stuff. Yeah, and start from there. So let's go to tip number 5. Tip number 5 for spiritual self-care is be in nature and bring in nature. Be in nature and bring in nature. What does that mean, Ujo? Well, the be in nature part, that is you actually going out and connecting with nature, like being out in the grass, with the trees, in the sand, with the water, wherever nature, whatever kind of nature you got going on in your area of the earth right now. If it's going to a park, if it's going to a forest preserve, if it's going to the beach, if it's going to the ocean, if it's going to a botanical garden. That's something I'm going to be doing soon, is going to a botanical garden. That could be a beautiful place to connect with nature, right? So actually physically bringing your body out of your house and connecting with the elements of nature in whatever way feels good for you. If you don't like sand, don't go to the beach or stay off the sand, right? Go somewhere else. You can be on the water. You can be near water and not be in sand. If you don't like trees, I don't know anybody that doesn't like trees, but if you don't like trees, then maybe going into a garden versus a forest preserve, right? So whatever you feel in alignment with, or whatever you feel called to connect with when it comes to nature. Even connecting with animals. And I'm not talking about your dog in your house or your pets at home, right? Connecting with animals that are outside of your home. This is all about you getting outside of your house and connecting in that way. Horses is coming up, you know, connecting with horses. I feel like somebody needs to hear that. I'm not sure who needed to hear about the horses, but go connect with the horses. I'm seeing fish as well. Um, so maybe it's going to, you know, a place like some type of aquarium where you can see fish. Those are other ways that you can go out and connect with nature. Certain animal energies too is what's coming up. So that's the first part of this tip, which is to be in nature. And when I say bring in nature, that is about bringing nature into your home, right? So I have plants here, and bring plants into your home or other things that represent nature. I'm not saying buy a bunch of animals, right? I'm not saying that, but bringing in plants, flowers, things that you can tend to and nurture, which also connects you with nature. That is something that can help balance out the energy in your home, but it's also a great way for you to bring in that energy, bring in that fresh life into your home, because plants are alive, and you want to have something that is this is about like bringing new life, bringing things that regenerate into your space, because that's going to connect you even more so to that aspect of yourself that is regenerating, that needs tending to, that also adjusts with the seasons. And when you and also do this within the capacity that you have. Don't be going to the store and buying a plant that you can't properly tend to. Don't do that. Don't be out here buying like orchids that need specific care and you don't have time for that. Go get you a damn cactus, okay? Go get you a cactus and you'll be fine. Okay? Get something that's within your capacity to care for, because that is a part of it too. Nurturing the plant, nurturing the nature that you're bringing into the home. That is part of the exchange. That's part of the regeneration. That is part of um, the reciprocity of nature. As in our human form, we take a lot. We take a lot from the earth. We deplete the earth a lot. And so bringing nature into your home, into your space is an opportunity for you to nurture nature. And that is going to be important when it comes to the energy that you put into the things that you tend to. Plants are physical representations of that. And you can set intentions with your plants. Your plant can represent something. Maybe you want to bring in a plant, something that you have the capacity to tend to and care for. And maybe that plant is a representation of self-love. And now you have a physical representation of that in your home. Maybe it's about bringing peace into your home. Think about what you feel when you actually go out into nature. What can you do to bring that energy into your home, right? Bringing nature in allows you to do that. So whether you have house plants, maybe you have a garden. And again, this doesn't matter if this is more so about you being able to connect with nature, physically going out into nature and then bringing nature into your home and having that reciprocity to nurture nature in the same way, well, in a very small aspect of the way that nature nurtures you. So those are the 5 tips. I hope that you find these tips practical and that you use them if you feel led to do so. If you found this valuable, please let me know in the comments. Like this video if you liked it. If you have not subscribed, please be sure to do so. And if you know someone that would get value from this video, please share this video with them. And this is the final part of my self-care series for in honor of spring equinox 2022. So I hope that you enjoyed it. And I will be here again next Tuesday for another video. I'll see y'all on the next one.